Going to review our unit about weather and climate. So let's talk about clouds. We discovered that clouds are made up of tiny water droplets. And how did they get there? How did that happen? Well, the water droplets comes from lakes, oceans, rivers, any other bodies of water, and it gets so hot that the water evaporates or rises up in a gas-like form and condenses into a cloud. This process of the water rising up, we call that evaporation. You can think about it like when you're boiling a pot of water and it gets too hot and the water transforms from its liquid state into a gas state. That's evaporation. Some of the water, when it evaporates, becomes trapped and forms that cloud. When it gets too heavy, full of those water droplets, it falls back down in the form of rain. We call that precipitation, and the process starts all over again. It rains back down into the river, ocean, lake, body of water. It gets too hot, it evaporates, turns into a gas, condenses, and that's the water cycle in a nutshell. So, now that we know all about clouds, what they're made out of, and how they form, we need to be on the lookout for different types of clouds in the sky to help us prepare for certain weather hazards. So our first cloud category is our cumulus cloud. A cumulus cloud roughly translates to pile of fluff. They are friendly little cotton ball-like clouds. Our second cloud is the stratus cloud, which translates to spread out. So it's kind of an overcast sky, you might say, but this is also a friendly cloud. Here they are compared side by side, our two friendly categories of clouds, the cumulus fluffy cloud and the stratus spread out cloud. Now let's take a look at one of our scary clouds, the cloud that William Rankin fell through, if you remember that lesson, the cumulonimbus cloud. So nimbus means storm, so this is like a fluffy storm translation. And we can characterize the cumulonimbus clouds by being really, really tall. Here are some other pictures of cumulonimbus clouds. And these clouds have lightning and hail, pretty severe thunderstorms, but they only last for about 30 minutes. So they can produce severe storms, but they don't last long. Our other category of storm cloud is the stratonimbus. So this is like translating spread out storm. These are the kind of clouds that rain all day. So let's take a look at these storm clouds compared. We got the stratonimbus on our left, the cumulonimbus on our right. So as weather watchers, if we know what kind of cloud it is combined with which direction the wind is blowing, we can do a pretty good job of predicting a storm. We also want to talk about our 5 climate zones. We've got polar, that's everything in blue, temperate, purple, mild, orange, tropical, red, and our last one in brown, the desert. So climate zones are characterized by how much water and how much sunlight those places get. So the polar climates on our map, the top and the bottom of our globe, get the least amount of sunlight, the least amount of warmth, characterized by it being cold all year long. So even in the summer, in the Arctic, it gets to about 9 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty cold. Our second climate zone, the tropical climate zone, is characterized by being green and lush and wet. Why? Because these zones on our map are right by the equator. which means the sun is shining the most directly onto these places. As the Earth rotates around the sun, the tropical climate zones are getting the most heat and sunlight. So this is like this jungle tropical area in this environment. It's so hot that the water is constantly evaporating and precipitating back down. So that's where we get the sweet spot of it being a really green place with all the rain, and a really wet place from all the water and the heat combined. Our next climate zone, the temperate climate zone. This is a good chunk of our map. This is a place, these places are characterized by it being hot in the summer and cold in the winter. So you get a fair amount of seasonal change. Okay, you get to experience fall, winter, spring, summer. Then we have our mild climate zone. This is places like where we live in California, where there's not too much seasonal differences. It's not too hot and it's not too cold. It kind of just stays the same all year round. Kind of just stays warm all year round. And then our last climate zone, the desert climate zone. So what characterizes the desert climate zone is the precipitation, or the amount of rainfall these places get each year. For something to be categorized as a desert, it needs 10 inches of rain or less. And that has been a recap of our unit on weather and climate zones.